Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. Bear, please don't mess with it. Today I'm going to be doing a five week, she is 5 weeks, but I wanted to do a month update. I might be feeding her during this video because she is fussy. Come here. Yes, he is. He's my little baby. He's me with the baby. So I wanted, my camera is so crooked, but I don't know if she just wants to be held. So I wanted to start off with a month update. She is currently 5 weeks and a few days. Bear, come here. But I am a little bit late and this video is already a mess, but we're fine. We're gonna get through it and have a little update of our little munchkin here. So she was born July 12th, 2020 at 5:40 p.m. and we were going to do kind of like a labor and delivery video, but like Ryan and I haven't been able to like sit down together and film that. So I was thinking of doing, Bear, I love your butt in this video. Bear, come here. Bear, come here. Bear, come here. But I guess I was thinking about doing like a different type of video of kind of like asking Ryan questions, like first time dad and going through all that stuff, because I kind of wanted to touch on the labor and stuff in this video. Can you like lay down or something? But she was, like I said, she was born at 5:40 on a Sunday, and it all started at like 3 a.m. on that Saturday. That Sunday, I mean. I truly believe I started going into labor on the Saturday. My mom and I went grocery shopping and I was feeling terrible. I could, just the last few days before, I could barely walk around. Ryan and I went to Sam's Club a few days before that and went to a few stores, and I had to keep stopping. And the pregnancy had been pretty easy up until like the last week. So I kind of knew that it was coming, I just didn't know when. Because we would walk a little bit and I would have to sit down because I like felt sick to my stomach. I wasn't like really tired, I just felt really sick. So we had to keep stopping and resting, and then he had to like get me a drink, so I was like drinking in the middle of Sam's Club. And then I went to, a couple days later on the Saturday, I went to Walmart with my mom the Saturday, the day before she came. And my mom said, you need to go home and rest, get things put together. And I think she just knew I wasn't feeling good. I felt terrible. And she said like my stomach was hurting, and I was talking to my sister about it, and she said that they were Braxton Hicks. And then I talked to her later on and she's like, those seem like real ones. So I was kind of confused. So every time I got one, I kind of kept track of it. But I wasn't really knowing what I was looking for, I feel like. So I just kind of kept track of every weird feeling I felt in my stomach from that point on. So yeah, that was on Saturday. I went home and I packed our bags. I had a luggage of Ryan and I's stuff and a little bit of her stuff and then her diaper bag, and had everything packed. I think that was like on the Thursday before she came, when we went to like Sam's Club, and I was feeling literally awful. I came home and packed, and then on Saturday I just came home and rested, and then we went to our friend's house and we were there pretty late, and they offered us to spend the night just because it was late, and instead of driving home we would just leave in the morning. But I told Ryan no, I needed to go home. And I don't know if my mind just knew you need to go home or what, but that week I was having a lot harder time sleeping at night, so I didn't want to be somewhere that wasn't my bed. I always was starting to feel sick in the middle of the night, so I really just wanted to be home. Even though I'm not comfortable, I would be more comfortable here. So we did come home at like midnight, and I never went to sleep, so I was up for like 2 days straight. So I never went to sleep, and he did, because he had worked that day like 10 hours, and then we went to a friend's house for dinner. So he was very tired, so he went to sleep and I was just up. But I was so used to it because that's usually how it has been the last week of pregnancy. I was just up, and it's not like I had insomnia, I was just feeling sick. So I kept feeling sick, so I kept going to the bathroom and nothing was going on. I wasn't throwing up, like nothing was happening. So I just sat in bed. I couldn't lay down because I felt sick, and then I started to get really bad pains in my back. It wasn't like a backache, it was severe pains in my back. And everybody that I had talked to before was like, you're gonna get like period cramps, so that's kind of what it feels like when it's starting off. But I know I'm lucky that I don't really get period cramps. So I was just assuming that I would know what it felt like when it came, but it was in my back. So I was trying to wake Ryan up, but he was so tired that I was having a hard time waking him up. Like he would wake up, but he wasn't awake, if that makes sense. I was able to like wake him up and talk to him, but then he wouldn't remember and he would just be back to sleep. And I kept telling him, we need to go, I don't feel good. And even like thinking about it now, if I wasn't in labor, like there was seriously something going on. And I wanted to get it checked out because I was like, why in the world does my back hurt this terribly? So even if I wasn't in labor, I wanted to go see what in the world was going on. So I kept waking him up, and I truly felt like if I had to, I could drive myself. Obviously that's not ideal, but I wasn't to the point where like I could still breathe, I could still walk, I could still talk. And they say don't go until like you can't really talk through them, but I was still like in a lot of pain, and I wasn't expecting it to be in my back, so I was kind of like a little weird. So I just wanted to go and figure it out. So he didn't really like click in his brain, I guess. He was just so tired. I can't really like blame him. I can't be mad at him for not waking up or like questioning me, because he was just so tired. He had worked 10 hours, and then we like in the hot sun, and then we came home and left again. So he hadn't been home all day, and then now I'm telling him like we need to leave. But I told him like we need to go. I'm going. I'm gonna go no matter what. I was like, hopefully like you come with me. So that's when he like jumped out of bed and he's like, let's go then. So we packed up the car, and it was probably like an hour later by the time we really left, because your back is all curved a little bit, see? Because we had to pack up the car. We didn't have her car seat in there. We didn't have like our bags and stuff were still out. So we packed the car, and he got the car seat in there and everything, and he told me to just sit there and rest while he packed everything up. And I kind of got up, I grabbed my purse. It was like an hour later, and he said, what are you doing? Why don't you go sit down? And I said, no, we need to leave now. And so we got in the car. It was getting worse and worse, and I was just feeling gross, really. So I was like, we need to go now. So we got in the car and drove, and it was probably like 4:30 by the time we got there. So like an hour and a half-ish after I just felt like we needed to go. And when we got there, I said, I think I'm in labor. I'm having it in my back. And I thought my water had broke a little bit, but I wasn't like 100% obviously. So she said that they are going to check if my water broke, and if it did, then they're keeping me. If not, then I might be sent home. because I was only dilated to 4, so she said that I could go and wait at home, but if my water broke, I had to be admitted. And my water did break. She did the test and she said it usually takes like 20 minutes and it came back immediately. And she's like, yep, your water definitely broke. So they admitted me, and it was probably like so I was at 4 centimeters when she did that test, and then it was probably an hour later by the time we were like really in our room and settled, and they were putting all this stuff on me, like the IV and all these things. And I was supposed to be tested for, I don't even know what it was, like a bacteria or something, like a week later. I was supposed to get my first test to see if I was dilated, to see if anything was, and get tested for, I forget. But since I hadn't been tested for that, they were putting me on a bunch of fluids and stuff, because I could have it and not know and be totally fine. But if I delivered her with that thing, bacteria thing, she could have issues. So I was on like a lot of liquids. They were trying to make sure that I didn't have that and doing all this stuff. So an hour later, around like 5:30, I was at 8 centimeters, and I said I wanted the epidural because I only had labor in my back. I never had it in my stomach. I never had it anywhere else. It was all in my lower back, and I almost cried every single time. And I said, like, this, I don't want to say it's not worth it, because it was, but at the moment I was like, it's not worth it, like doing it like natural. And we've always, like, Ryan and I talked about this before, and that we said, like, I do want it because I was like, I'm gonna see how far I can go, but I do want it because I want to be able to enjoy the labor and be able to remember it and think positive about the labor and everything like that. I don't want to be in so much pain. And technically, like, I look back and I wasn't in that much pain. It was in the moment that I was, of course. So I did have the epidural at 8 centimeters, and all was fine. It wasn't that bad. It was just hard to, because it took him a little bit, but he was super nice and was telling me, this is what's going on, this is what I'm doing. So I knew what was going on. But it did take him, I had like 2 contractions while he was doing it, so that was the hard part, because I had to sit still and I couldn't move, because I had heard that you could get paralyzed. I don't know if it gets that extreme, but I don't want any issues to my body of getting that shot. So I got it, and he said that it should be going numb like soon. And so I got numb on my right side of my body 100%. He said you should still be able to feel your body, you're just kind of numb. You should still feel like when you need to push, you could still feel like what's going on, you just won't be in pain. And the right side of my body was 100% gone. And she's like, we're gonna do practice pushes, and I kept telling her I can't feel my right leg. From my hip down, I couldn't even move it. And she was saying, because Ryan held my left leg and she held my right leg, and during the practice pushes and stuff, and she kept saying how heavy my leg was, and I said, well, I can't feel it, so I'm assuming that's why. I 100% couldn't feel that leg. And so it was probably like 3 hours later of me trying to push and nothing happening. She had dropped, I was 10 centimeters, she was literally right there. But I felt really off. My body was off because of the epidural, and I couldn't push normally like I should have been able to push, and I just felt like something was wrong, and I kept telling her. And so it was several hours later, which she probably just thought, oh, like nothing's happening, maybe we should check on it. And he came back and said that it was like a little turned to my right side, which was causing all of the medicine to go to my right side, because I was still feeling the contractions on the left side of my back and my hip. So I kept pressing the button for more medicine and more medicine, and because I was like, it's not working. So there was like a button that you could press to get a little bit bigger dose, so I kept doing that. And he came and moved it, and she said that the doctor, since she wasn't coming out, they wanted to take some of my dose, so that I could feel more. So I was like honestly really nervous to take away some of the medicine, but since he fixed it and he did take some of the dose to a smaller dose, but my legs were equally numb, so it was a lot better. I was still feeling like a little bit of pain, but I could probably only feel like every third contraction, because she said see on the monitor that I was having one, but I couldn't feel it, and it was probably every third one that I could actually feel. So on some of them she would have to tell me like, okay, it's time to push, you're dilating, and then sometimes I would be able to tell her. And the doctor finally came in and he's like, she's not ready, and it was like several hours later, and I was so comfortable. I wasn't feeling like I needed to push, and she kept asking me, and I was like, no, I feel fine, I don't feel like I need to push. And so that's when she was starting to tell me, okay, we're gonna start pushing, like she's down and we need to get her out. That's pretty much what she was saying. And so the doctor finally came back, and I'm gonna put her down really quick, she's making me sweat. So the doctor came back in, and I was honestly scared that the doctor was going to tell me if we can't get her out, we're gonna have to have a C-section, which would have been fine because obviously I don't want a C-section, but if I had to have one, I would have one just to make sure that she's okay and to get her out, because she needed to be out. Sorry. Because she needed to get out. So if it came to that point, obviously I would do it, but I didn't want to. So I told him my mind. He came back, the doctor came back, and I said, she's coming out now, he's not leaving again. So that was my mindset, and she came out shortly after, and she was here and no issues. She was born at 36 weeks and 5 days, so she was like 3.5 weeks early. And the NICU team came in and everything, but she was fine, so they left, and I was so thankful that they didn't have to take her. But we did get through into a very, very long 5 days, which is probably going to be a whole another video because I've been talking a lot. She was here, everything was perfect. The first week she had really, really, really bad jaundice, and they kind of explained it to me, which I don't think I'll be very good at explaining it, but they did have a chart, and for her hours old she should be under a certain number for her jaundice levels, and they were testing and testing and testing, and her levels were not going down. So unfortunately, her second day of life, they had to put her on the blue light. I'm thankful that I was able to stay in there with her. After 48 hours, I was discharged, and when they said that, I was scared I would have to leave, but I was discharged to the room because she was still admitted, and they didn't take her to the NICU, and I was able to stay with her, which I'm so thankful every day that I was able to stay there with her and care for her rather than somebody in the NICU doing that for us. And with COVID, I just didn't know what their rules would be, and still I'm so thankful to be there with her. And so her levels weren't going down. She was on the light, so she was on the light for like 24 hours, and then they said her levels had went down, I think 2 points, whatever they call it. And then they took the light off, and they said if it stayed the same or lower, because she needed to be able to keep her levels low herself, so if they weren't going up without the light, then she would be able to go home. But unfortunately, her levels kept going up, and it was 5 days later. It was the Friday. Thursday, actually, I thought for sure we would be able to go home, and we didn't. They put her back on the light, and I was literally heartbroken. That was probably my first like weak moment of this whole thing. I was just so heartbroken that we couldn't go home, and plus I had already been in the hospital since Sunday and hadn't seen daylight, hadn't seen anything, and it just felt like very unfortunate that she wasn't getting better. And of course I would have stayed there as long as I needed, but it was like hard to know that her levels were not going down. And so it made me really sad, and that what we were doing wasn't working. But then on Friday, like midday around 12, they came and said her levels went down a point without the light, so she was able to go home, but we would have to go to the doctor the next day to test. After being home for a little bit, the next day we would go, which was a Saturday, so thank goodness Ryan was able to go with me. And we went to the hospital to get her test done again, and they never contacted me for her levels, so we were all assuming that they were good. But before we went for her 2-week appointment, I wanted to know what those levels were and have a like paper saying where she was, so that I could talk to the doctor about it, talk to her doctor about it. And so I was trying to contact them, but nobody could give me the records, so I had to go in person. But then the place was closed because of COVID. So I had to fill out a paper, and then we got the paper back, and her levels were the same, but she was older and they were staying down, so nobody was worried about it. She was 24 hours older since the last test, so the fact that they were the same and hadn't gone up, she was doing way better than she was before. So they weren't worried about it, thank goodness. And then moving on to her 2-week appointment, we went in and they had to do her levels again. So I didn't even say weight or anything. I went straight into the jaundice. But she was born at 5 pounds 15 ounces, 3.5 weeks early. So she was still a pretty big baby for being a preemie. She was 19 inches, so she was skinny and long, which she still is. But at her, so of course they lose weight after they're born. She was like super swollen when she was born, and she lost all that, and that was another worry that I had all week, was she was losing too much weight. But when we left the hospital, she was 5'10", so she lost weight to like 5'8", I think, but then by the time we left she was 5'10", so she was gaining weight by the time we left, thank goodness. And then by her 2-week appointment she was 6 pounds and 4 ounces, which is crazy. She was growing so fast, and 19.5 inches. So she grew 1/2 inch in 2 weeks. And then they did her jaundice levels, and it was 7 points less than the week before, and I thought I could cry, which I'm surprised that I didn't. I was so thankful, so happy that they had gone down so much. Now we're not even worried about it. She had yellow in her eyes before. She had really yellow skin, and she doesn't have any of that now. She was in preemie clothes for the first probably almost 3 weeks of her life. Now she's in newborn clothes, and she's able to fit in some 3-month clothes, 0 to 3 months. Some 3 months are still like way too big, but some of them are big, but she can still fit in them because she's so long that she fits in them, but she's so skinny that they're still like huge, which I know that maybe in a week or 2 she'll be able to fill them in more. But she is comfortably in newborn. She's still in newborn diapers, even at 5 weeks. She's at newborn diapers, and the doctor said that she should be at 4 ounces by the time she's 1 month old, but I'm giving it some grace because she was early. We did get her at 4 ounces at a month, but she was throwing up. I can't even say that it was spit up because it was just a lot. So I took her back down to 3 ounces just the last couple days, and she's able to keep that down. And so now I'm going to start trying to get her up. She's at 3.5 now, and she's doing good. She's keeping it down, and she has spit up here and there, but that's normal. But before it was like a lot, so I don't think her stomach was able to handle the 4 ounces. But I'm slowly trying to get her back up soon. And I googled The doctor said 4 ounces at a month, but then I googled and it said 6 ounces at 2 months. So she's at 5 weeks now. So if she's even, it said 5 or 6 ounces. So I truly believe that she might be at 5 ounces by then. At the beginning of her life, she was putting herself to sleep at night. I would feed her, I would change her, and I would sit her back down any time of day, and she was able to put herself to sleep. Just the last few days, she has been wanting to stay up. She doesn't get fussy, she just lays there. And so a lot of the time, I will just lay her in her bed and just let her look around and do whatever she's got to do before she falls asleep. But she was, some nights it would be 2.5 hours before she'd wake up. Some nights it would be 3.5 hours. It just depends. But last night it was every like hour and a half. So that's when I'm thinking she needs more food. So maybe she will go longer periods of time now because now she's not sleeping. Before she was doing fine. So I might be going up to 4 ounces pretty soon to see if she will sleep. But she has been up like all day, so I think she's getting to the point where she will be up just more, which is fine because she just sits here with me and we just hang out. Other than that, I don't know if we have any updates. She has her next appointment at the end of September. It's 2 months after her last appointment. Every Sunday she goes up a week, so she is 5 weeks as I'm making this. I hope I didn't forget anything. I'm not sure if anybody will have any questions. If I missed anything, if you want to leave them for me, or go check out our Instagram. I just don't know if I've missed anything. She loves her boppy, and we have like a little bouncer that she lays in during the day, and then I bring her to her bassinet. She is still in here with us. I couldn't imagine leaving and going to, obviously the room is just right there, but it's easy just having her here with me. But yeah, she is doing super amazing and I'm so thankful. We used our scale last week, so I don't know if that is pretty accurate of how much she weighs, but I weighed myself and then I weighed again holding her. And if it is correct, she's 7 pounds and 4 ounces last week, which would be a pound heavier than she was at her doctor's appointment like 2 weeks before that. So if that is correct, she's growing at a crazy rate. And I just can't believe it. She looks like a totally different baby now than she did when she was born. We think her hair is going to be like a reddish color, which will be so cute. Of course, whatever she has is cute, but her daddy has some red tint to his hair, so it would be super cool if she did as well. She also didn't lose her hair like most babies do. But the last thing I'm going to say is I really like these bottles. Ryan's sister bought this one for us. It is anti-colic, so the thing inside, she just used this one, that's why they're smoking it. But it does take all the bubbles out. You can tell like when she's drinking it. It takes all the bubbles. But I think I'm going to do another video that just reminded me, a video of all the newborn stuff that I've been using so far. That obviously it's a trial and error, so I should do a video of all the products that I actually have been using. So I think that will be coming soon, and I think that is it for right now. And I'm so happy to be back with our little baby, and she is healthy and amazing, and we love her so much. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.